I wanted to come on stream and talk about this just because purely, it's been a while, I know I'm late to it, and I usually don't even talk politics on this channel, because truthfully, I've despised talking about politics. I find politics rather distasteful to talk about, whether it be in the UK, US, either which way. I do want to take the time to speak of this because as much as I don't like talking about politics, I guess I've recently come to the epiphany that I kind of need to get over my hatred for talking about politics. Because if good, normal, educated people don't talk about politics, then you kind of leave it to the bad, idiotic, selfish people to do so in your place. And then people like Donald Trump get elected and Renee Good gets murdered by ICE. If more people spoke about politics who are good and normal and educated before the election, then this very easily could have been prevented. As could a lot of murders, by the way. Like, if Trump wasn't elected, Charlie Kirk would still be alive. So it's not something that anyone should be happy about if you know anything about politics. I like my ICE without an acronym. Yeah, I guess, yeah, for sure. The thing is, this is what sucks, is that on paper, ICE is actually great. Like, and I mean on paper, in like the biggest capital letters ever, because it's the whole purpose is we are going to get rid of the rapists and the murderers. And you see that and you're like, yes, great, that is amazing. I would love if you did that. But unfortunately, that's not what, unfortunately, that isn't what's going on. It's not what they're doing at all. One of the things that I wanted to do in this stream is go over some of the coverage about this situation from other TikTokers, YouTubers, influencers, people. A lot of them don't even talk about politics a lot, but I'm seeing some takes that are just fucking ridiculous. And another thing I want to talk about is how annoyed certain conservatives or people on the right get when you use words like fascist or Nazi or Hitler or Germany or Gestapo. The sort of normal response you get from a lot of people is, oh, you're too quick to use those words. Like, this is incomparable to any of those words, as though, but then you see, like, there are videos coming up of the funny mustache man giving speeches with English subtitles, and there are a lot of people who watch those videos and comment shit like, oh wow, we thought he was evil, we thought he was a piece of shit, but he's actually just looking out for his country and doing what he feels is best for it, as though he came to power by standing on a podium and going, oh yeah, I'm evil and I want to do evil things and evil people will vote for me, and everyone happened to be evil. It's like, no, obviously he sounded reasonable to a lot of people. Like, that's how he got elected. He didn't go on stage and go, hello everyone, on day one, and just tell people about how he wants to kill everyone who isn't him, basically. Or people who, I don't know, that he just personally doesn't like. You know, that's not what happened at all. He came up, he said he said things that sounded reasonable to people who were dumb. Things like, we're gonna make this country great again. We're gonna get rid of all the foreigners. Things that sound pretty similar. And we're gonna fucking get a secret police that kills people who disagree with us. They had the Gestapo knock on doors and shit, which is why Anne Frank hid to begin with, by the way. And then recently we get the news that ICE are gonna start knocking on doors. And I do know that Americans do have the right to not open the door, but Americans have the right to do a lot of things. It didn't stop Jonathan Ross from fucking murdering Renee Good in cold blood in broad daylight. So who really knows what they're gonna hold back on? Jesus said, love thy neighbor, not kill, deport, and abuse. Gee, well, you know what the Bible also says? I did find this great quote. I actually used to be a speaker in my church. I'm not too much of a Christian now, just because my belief in God has withered slightly. But I do like the Bible, and I like a lot of the messages that it tells. This is it. Leviticus 19:33-34. When a foreigner resides among you in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt. I am the Lord your God. The last bit isn't really too relevant, but you understand what I mean here. There's tons of verses like that. And one thing that I hear that a lot of right-wingers do, I don't know, it's incredibly annoying, but none of them realize that they're doing it, is that they only use religion when it suits them. Like, if I heard someone go, you know, I'm not too sure about immigration or people immigrating into the country, whether it be legally, illegally, or for asylum or whatever the fuck. But, you know, Jesus said to love thy neighbor and that we should love people as we love ourselves, and that we need to love people as if they're native born, which the Constitution does apply to everyone who is on American soil, whether they're native born, illegally immigrated, right? You get what I'm saying. But no one ever says that on the right. No one ever says that. They say these foreigners need to fuck off. First of all, what rights do ICE actually have? What can they do? I I have got a article here from Borderless that sort of explains it all. What legal authority does ICE have to conduct vehicle stops? And this is an article from Borderless, who has spoken to many legal experts. So this is not coming from me. It comes from mainly a law professor known as Cesar Garcia Hernandez, who says that ICE functions as a federal law enforcement agency with specific authority to enforce U.S. immigration laws within the country's interior. Unlike local police officers, federal immigration agents cannot conduct stops based solely on traffic violations. They don't get to just go about stopping and demanding answers of whoever they happen to come across. Point is, they can't do traffic stops. They're not the fucking police. So the whole incident that this was based off of was them doing a search, one of their normal fucking conducts, and Renee Good was parked parallel to, or perpendicular rather, to the curbs in an attempt to, I guess, disturb their investigation, make it harder for them to pass through. The official process for ICE, if they want to prevent that, is to actually call the police, because the police are the only people who can enforce traffic stops for people who aren't immigrants, which these two people, these two lesbians, were clearly not immigrants. So ICE have no legal authority over them necessarily. And they're also not the police, so everyone calling them the police are not even fucking worth listening to, really. So this is what started everything. This is Renee Good's SUV, and it's parked perpendicular to the curbs, or not parked, but it's stopped there. It's stationary there in an attempt to make ICE's job harder. As you will see in this video, though, it's not even a real disruption. People are literally driving past it. Here we go, this is some stuff that people haven't seen. Just the sort of beginning of it all. Here we go, look, there are literally, so you can see here, there are literally cars driving past Renee Good's SUV. The only reason why ICE's SUV was over here is because cars are able to pass Good's SUV. So it wasn't really disrupting whatever the fuck they were doing. They could have just ignored it, but their feelings were hurt. I do need a slimmer frame, you're right. You're right, I do need a slimmer frame. Sorry, I know I shouldn't be talking about these both things at the same time. Here we go. Look, all the cars are passing the SUV. The reason people are recording is because people know there's an ICE raid going on. You can hear the whistles as well. So everyone's got their phone out to record, which is great, by the way. This is the great thing about the internet, is that shit like this is being recorded. Because if it wasn't being recorded, no one would know about it. Like shit like this would just be allowed to happen. Phones are more dangerous than guns in this day and age. Here we go. This is Jonathan Ross, the murderer's SUV, which has literally just driven right past Renee Good. They could just drive past her. They could just drive right through her if they cared so much about their stupid mission. They could just drive through her. They have no authority and no reason to sit there and actually talk to Renee Good or Renee Good's wife. Because they're not the police and they can't do traffic stops.
Plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen. Get the fuck out of our neighborhood. You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch.
Okay, here we go. Look, you can see here.
U.S. citizen. Get the fuck out of our neighborhood.
All right, this is where it gets important. So Renee's wife tells Ross to get the fuck out of the neighborhood or whatever, and Ross is very obviously, you can see from all the footage here, that's Ross there. You can see where my mouse is pointed, that's him right there, on the way back to his SUV. He's going back to his SUV, and this is his hand here. He's switching the phone from his right hand to his left hand, his non-dominant hand, because the recording is over. He's done with it. He got what he wanted. He's recorded everything, and he's done. So he's heading back to his car to, I don't know, get in and fuck off, because what the fuck was the point of this? I'm not sure what he was doing, but he was definitely heading back to his car. But look at this. He's literally a leg in his car right there. He's about to get in his fucking car. He switches his phone over to free up his dominant hand, maybe so he can drive or something. At this point, he's basically in the car. But then he gets called Big Boy. He gets called Big Boy by Renee's wife, whose name I don't remember. I'm so sorry about that. And the second he gets called Big Boy, he steps out of his car and starts walking towards Renee's. That's what spurred it on. There's nothing else that happens here that could be a reason for him to get back out the car. If any of you disagree with me or are seeing something else, then let me know. But I'll play it again. That's what causes it. That's him here. And then he comes out. And here he is. And then he gets in front of the car. He got triggered. He got called Big Boy. A woman talked back to him. So he killed her wife. That's the fucking level we're on now. If you're an immigrant or you call someone Big Boy, that gives them the authority to kill you and be granted complete immunity by the government. That's it. That's all it is, man. If she didn't call Ross Big Boy, Renee would still be alive right now. You know how crazy that is? Of course it's not her fault. I'm just trying to explain what caused it all. You know, it's so funny as well. They call the left emotional. The left are the emotional fucking wrecks, while the right are logical. Meanwhile, literally murdering people for calling them Big Boy. She said, go get yourself some lunch, Big Boy. Oh man, imagine if she was black. They would have both died. Anyway, let's actually look at the moment here. Okay. Look at this. Look at this agent here. They're saying, get out the car. Well, this is another thing. We're hearing, get out the car, get out the fucking car. Some agents are just saying, get out, though. So there are some conflicting messages because get out could just mean drive away. Get out the car obviously means get out the car. So this bloke here, I don't know his fucking name, but he starts pulling the door open, which you're not fucking allowed to do. The car is not in the way of anything. They can literally drive right past it. ICE are also not the police. They're not able to enforce traffic laws like this unless they're enforcing immigration law, and it's like an immigrant in that car who's breaking the law or some shit, which these people clearly aren't. But this bloke thinks he has the right. This is the point we're at. In a democratic country, in a country that's meant to be like America, you go to the car, you knock on people's doors, and you have a conversation with them. Like you're pulling them over. You've never seen someone get pulled over and then their fucking door forced open by a police officer. It's always wind your fucking window down, let's have a chat. But this bloke right here starts pulling on the door because all these ICE videos are on a fucking power trip. And then look at this, by the way. He reaches his arm inside of the car. His left arm is inside the car, but it's not bent or anything. He's not opening the car. His arm is on the steering wheel. There's nowhere else his arm could be. It's on the steering wheel. Maybe it's, I don't know, trying to get the key out the ignition, but it does look as though the arm is on the steering wheel. It's definitely not opening the door from the inside. And then look here. Renee isn't even looking at the ICE agent, by the way. She looks to her left. She's looking to her left there, because obviously she's trying to fucking reverse and drive away, which is exactly what ICE wants her to do. They want her to drive away. So the fact that she got fucking punished for it. And then look at what she does with the steering wheel. You see the steer? This is on Ross's fucking camera. She could not be steering more to the right. And then you've got Ross, who you can see in the video, the ignition is revving. She's turning the fucking steering wheel to the right. You'd have to be a fucking idiot to not just, I don't know, take a step to the right. He wanted to be in line with the car so that he had an excuse to shoot her. And it's not even a fucking good excuse. A woman talked back to him, so he killed her wife. And why were ICE here to begin with, by the way? ICE are here because there is a dual language school in this area, and people are scared that they're going to go into the school and get rid of, like, kids' parents and shit. There's a dual language school here. So, Renee Good obstructing their, I guess, their demonstration is completely justifiable, and there is a rhyme and reason for it. It's very obviously a 2-point turn. He would have known that she was coming. It's the most obvious fucking thing in the world. Even if he didn't know it was going at 0 miles per hour, it wouldn't have fucking hurt him unless he literally stood still. The wheels are turned all the way to the right, and if they weren't, it's this fucking idiot's fault for turning the steering wheel from outside the car. Also, Ross is holding his phone the entire time. I don't know about you, but when I feel as though my life is in danger, I tend to stop fucking recording. I'd like to see where in the documents or where in the training they allow ICE agents to hold their phone and shoot people at the exact fucking time. That's the first shot there. And then now look where he is. The first shot hits the windshield. We don't know which shot was the one that killed her, but you can clearly see he's out of the way here. But here's the thing. For people who say this is in self-defense, that would mean, if this is not excessive force, that means you're saying if he did not shoot her dead, then Ross would have died. There is no one on the fucking planet who in good faith can say, oh, John Ross would be dead if he didn't shoot Renee Good. Because that's not what was happening here. I could talk about this one frame for fucking hours, man. It's so interesting that his perspective was released as well. That means they thought this, like, exonerated him, because they wouldn't have put it out otherwise. Also, shooting her makes this more dangerous. I'll let it all play out. Fuck it. You know what? I'll let it all play out, and then I'll show you, the smaller details. There you go, that's all you need to see. Fucking whatever. Shooting her makes this more dangerous. She now has no control over the vehicle. What if there's a pedestrian in front of the car and now they get hit? What if there was someone in the car that her SUV has now hit because she's dead in the car and slamming the fucking pedals? John Ross actively made the situation worse, more dangerous for both him, ICE, and pedestrians because he got called fat. The only way this is justified is if his life was in danger and shooting the person in the car would then make his life not in danger. But even if the car was moving at 60 miles per hour, shooting the person inside it isn't gonna fucking save you. There is no justifying this. There's no justifying this, both legally and morally. People who say, oh, morally it was bad, it was tragic, but legally he's in the clear. Go fuck yourself, you fucking idiot. And of course she didn't run him over. The guy's totally fine. He literally walks over to the car, admires his work, admires the fucking corpse he's created, and then fucks off like a pussy. He doesn't even stay. He fucks off. And they say he went hospital. So that's a fucking load of shit, man. He was totally fine. There's no way that did anything. Car comes at you 1 mile per hour and then you shoot them dead. That's fuck all. He actively made the situation worse. And by the way, people are bringing up that 6 months ago he was genuinely hurt by a moving car or anything. All the more reason why he should know the dangers of standing in front of a fucking car. He can't have been that traumatized if he was stood in front of a revving engine with his phone camera out. How traumatized could he possibly be? Also, he's an officer. Surely, like, in the training, the whole point is keep fucking calm. Don't kill people if you don't have to. And they didn't allow ambulance. And by the way, he goes up to her, doesn't apply CPR or anything, which there's no way ICE agents don't all know CPR. That has to be part of the training. You need to fucking know it. And they just leave her there. They leave her there to bleed out. They leave her for fucking dead. No one goes over to her. Like, fair enough. If you think, no, not fair enough, but if you genuinely believe that this was self-defense, it's not self-defense anymore. She is no longer a danger when she's been shot 3 fucking times. So at that point, you are legally obligated to do your CPR, try and fucking help her, and give her medical attention. They don't do that. He walks up to her and then fucks off, and then she's ignored. And apparently witnesses say that ambulances on scene were being blocked by traffic, like actually blocked, not fucking Renee Good's SUV blocked. I mean, genuinely blocked. And then there's video of a physician trying to give aid and they're completely fucking denied. And the ICE officer lies about, we have our own medics on scene. And then they zoom in to the fucking corpse in the car receiving no medical attention. Don't get me wrong, I don't think a doctor would have helped, but they don't even try. They don't even try. Jonathan Ross is getting more medical attention for being grazed by a 1 mile per hour car than she is for being shot 3 fucking times. That's pretty much all I have to show you about the video, but if I forget something, I did take notes actually. Oh, I want to talk about this as well, by the way. Have any of you guys seen this fake criminal record that's been going around of Renee Good. But this fake criminal record's been running the waters. People have been talking about it, and we're gonna start actually looking at like some influencers and some TikTokers and some YouTubers who have brought this fake criminal record up and some bullshit about Renee and her wife and how they put out cigarettes on their daughter's arms and shit, and that's why they don't have custody of their children. But you can see here, Good Nicole Renee, age 44. She wasn't 44. She was 37. This is completely fake. The name isn't even spelt right. But this went huge, and of course the right ate it up. They ate it up because of course they did. I mean, who is even surprised? Right now, let's actually talk about the response to it all. We'll start with Trump. I have just viewed the clip of the event which took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming was, obviously, a professional agitator. And the woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting. Well, she was trying to leave, actually. She was trying to stop obstructing and stop resisting. But then more obstruction was caused because she got shot dead and the pedals were rammed. Who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer who seems to have shot her in self-defense. You know it's bad when even he has to say seems. Like, he's not even saying it definitively, because even he is able to see just how wrong he is. That's insane, by the way. Anyone who's fucking kept up with him for any amount of time would know that that says something. The word seems there. Based on the attached clip, it is hard to believe he is alive. I don't even know what I need to fucking say to that. But is now recovering in the hospital. Complete bullshit. He was never in the hospital. And if he was, it was for PR reasons only. The situation is being studied in its entirety, but the reason these incidents are happening is because the radical left is threatening, assaulting, and targeting our law enforcement officers and ICE agents on a daily basis. They are just trying to do the job of making America safe. He does this a lot. He blames the left for a lot of violence or whatever. This is why I do not want to hear, by the way, any leftist on the fucking planet apologize on behalf of potential leftists who are doing damage to people. Or I don't know, even murdering people. Like, if it really was a leftist who killed Charlie Kirk, I don't want to hear any fucking leftists online condemn the murderer. Not because it was a good thing that was done. Obviously, it shouldn't have happened. But if you're being pressed by some fucking journalist being like, oh, do you condemn? Do you condemn? If Trump can't even condemn the murder of Melissa Hortman, for example, then why should random influencers be forced to condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk? Any other president would say, we need to be more peaceful. Both sides need to be more peaceful. Trump is actively telling the right to fight. He's telling his sides to fight. He's saying that he despises the left, that they're violent, and that we need to take our country back. We need to fight them. The left has no option but to fight back if you promote violence from the right. Because the left can't just sit there and take it. That's not how fighting works. You can't just sit there and let yourself get beat up. You kind of need to throw a punch back. If you're being bullied and you fight back, that doesn't make you worse than the fucking bully. 6 of the 10 largest protests in US history have been under Donald Trump. If you look at the last couple decades in US history, it's very fucking obvious which side is more violent. And anyone who says that it's the left is delusional. All they have is the murder of Charlie Kirk, which that is not even definitive evidence that Tyler Robertson was a leftist. Earlier last year, Melissa Hortman and her husband were killed by a conservative shooter. That is double the death count, and not even half the media coverage. Here we go, JD Vance's response. This is even worse, by the way. Correct. You can accept this woman's death is a tragedy while acknowledging it's a tragedy of her own making. Don't illegally interfere in federal law enforcement operations and try to run over officers with your car. It's really that simple. Now, this whole Vance shit, G-Day Vance, or JD Vance, not G-Day. He's not Nigerian. So this is another thing that we're hearing constantly. Tragic, but justified. Tragic, but justified is that's when shit gets really worrying, by the way. Because once again, that is the exact wording that was used during Nazi Germany for murders that were carried out by the Gestapo. It was and that's why they didn't hold trial for any of the murderers. And that was it. Like, this is the only difference between ICE and the Gestapo, is that ICE potentially are going to be taken to court and punished. John Ross will be punished. However, that is in jeopardy now because J.D. Vance has promised him absolute immunity. So now there is literally no difference between ICE and the Gestapo. Anyone who is on the right who thinks that comparing the right to Nazis is hyperbolic or irresponsible. I would love to hear what you disagree with regarding what the Gestapo did, that ICE aren't doing themselves, because there's nothing. I think ICE is valid when given due process to the victims with a fair trial. I don't even want to say ICE is valid because that legitimizes them as a service. The fact is, if there are even some people being shipped off with no due process or murdered like this, ICE is not valid. If they were doing what they said they would be doing, which was getting rid of murderers and then yeah, they would be valid. But I think we all know that's not what they're doing. They're here to fill quotas. I don't know if you guys know this, but ICE literally have quotas to fill. These quotas are set by Donald Trump, who has fired ICE members in the past for not filling said quotas. So these ICE members have every reason in the world to go to places that are completely safe, where murderers and won't be, just to find people who are of a different skin color and ship them off without due process because they want to up the numbers on their quotas. That's why there's no due process. That's why they're so fucking ruthless. They don't want to lose their job. And they're also fucking arseholes, obviously. But that's why, like, the whole thing of these ICE agents are getting rid of and murderers? No, they're not. And murderers are hard to find. These ICE agents are going to churches. They are going to schools. You don't find murderers and rapists in schools and churches. You find immigrants. You find conservative Christians who would be voting Republican, by the way, if you weren't getting rid of all their fucking friends. Because they have quotas to fill. Get rid of the fucking quotas, you idiots. It does nothing. It does nothing for you. All it does is increase the likelihood that the and murderers stay, and the innocent ones who are actually providing for your country go. They're getting rid of doctors and engineers and fucking priests, mate, and churchgoers and farmers mainly. That's the thing. They go to California, a lot of these immigrants. They go from Mexico to California because California has a lot of farmland, and it's very easy to exploit farmers for very low pay. And these are seasonal jobs where they're constantly being moved around season to season. They don't have a place to stay in, and they can't use the police. They can't call the police on people. They don't have workers' rights. They don't have labor rights because they're not technically American citizens, because America has invited them over by allowing them to work in these farms for low pay. That's why the actual process of legally immigrating into America from Mexico is so arduous and long. They don't want them to actually emigrate legally. They want them there illegally so that they can get away with paying them fuck all for horrible jobs where they need to work all year round in the steaming hot California sun, manually bending over, picking up crops, and walking half a mile across a fucking cornfield. It's not far off of slavery, it really isn't. It really isn't far off. Oh, by the way, guys, look at this shit. I found this. This is the most insane thing I think I've ever seen in my life, by the way. I'm just gonna put it on screen. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna put it on screen. You seeing this? It was 500,000 earlier today, by the way. They raised 500,000 earlier today. In a few hours, it's gone up by 200,000. After seeing all the media BS about the domestic terrorist getting GoFundMe, I feel that the officer that was 1,000% justified in the shooting deserves to have a GoFundMe. Funds will go to help him. Help him for what? Help him for what? Also, describing Renee Good as a domestic terrorist, I don't think I need to even begin. I don't think I even need to talk about how wrong that is and how fucking horrible that is. I would like to see Renee Good do a GoFundMe. I want to see how much that's on. Because if this is on fucking 700,000... Actually, let's see, real quick, these updates. Newest update. The creator of the Give Fund has direct contact with Jonathan, so I'm in contact with him. Gave him my number, and he said he would pass it on to John himself, so I can finally add him as the beneficiary, so he can get these funds he deserves. Contact has been made. Arrangements are being put in place to transfer the funds as the officer wishes. One step closer. So this guy is now set for life for murdering an innocent woman because he got his feelings hurt. And the worst part is these are donations. Let's see the top donations so I can show you their fucking names. Patrice J. William Ackman. I bet you anything this fucking guy's a billionaire, by the way. I'm gonna guess 10 billion. Yeah, here we go. Net worth 9.4 billion. Chipotle distances itself from Bill Ackman after ICE agent donation. I guess that's a good thing, but also he has 10 fucking billion, so who really gives a fuck? Let's look up Renee Goodman's GoFundMe. 1.5 million. So about double. And by the way, they stopped at 50K. They stopped at 50K. We've closed the GoFundMe, and the rest will be in funds in a trust for the family. So the rest will go to the whole family as opposed to just Becca. They were actually selfless enough to stop at 50K. They took 50, Becca took 50 fucking K, whereas Jonathan gets 800,000, and it'll keep going up. It will keep going up. It'll probably reach 1 million. It'll probably reach 2 million. What else does he have to say? I want every ICE officer to know that their president, vice president, and the entire administration stands behind them. To the radicals assaulting them, doxing them, and threatening them, congratulations, we are going to work harder to enforce the law. Every congressional Democrat and every Democrat who's running for president should be asked a simple question. Do you think this officer was wrong in defending his life against a deranged leftist who tried to run him over? These people are going to try to arrest our law enforcement for doing their jobs. The least the media could do could ask them about it. And you've got this video here, which perfectly shows why was the tire pointed away from him if she wanted to run him over, and why is Trump and Vance lying? Like, if she clearly did something wrong here, why would they need to lie about it this much? What the press has done in lying about this innocent law enforcement officer is disgusting. You should all be ashamed of yourselves. And then what is linked here is Ross's point of view, which, as we've gone through, only makes him look worse. Yeah, you know what? Let's do this. I'm going to look up what the Gestapo was, and we're going to see if there are any differences between what the Gestapo doing. Here we go. We're on the United States Holocaust Encyclopedia. The Nazi regime wanted to establish a centralized political police force that would answer directly to Nazi leadership. They had to reform the existing decentralized police system. This process took several years. It included Nazifying the entire police system. This is, I guess in today's words, the forming of ICE, which I know formed in 2003, but has only become so stringent and popular now. They're more popular now than they ever have been. The Gestapo was staffed by plainclothes policemen. Fair enough, these people are not plainclothes, but a lot of them are. The one who killed Keith Porter Jr. was an off-duty ICE officer who was in plain clothes, and did not identify themselves, by the way, before shooting and killing him, which is completely illegal. They say they identified themselves, but witnesses say that they don't. They carried out arbitrary searches, and they conducted brutal interrogations. In the end, Gestapo agents held the fate of the people they arrested in their hands. This is directly congruent with what ICE is doing. They hold arbitrary searches. Renee Good was disrupting them from holding an arbitrary search right near a dual language school, where people were scared because there are Spanish children in that school, or Mexican children in that school. You get the idea. There are no legal limits because these ICE agents are above the law. They are granted legal immunity after murder. They conduct brutal investigations and interrogations. Absolutely, that is what ICE do. They go up to random people who are of a different skin color that isn't white, both in public, at their homes even. The home is no longer a private, safe place. It is a place where you can be broken in on by these fucking ICE agents, who will carry out arbitrary searches, who will arrest you on scene if you do not have your documents or ID directly with you, no matter where you are, whether you're working, walking about, shopping, in church of all places. You need to bring your immigration documents with you to church, otherwise you have a chance of being arrested during an ICE raid. At other times, the Gestapo receive tips from the public. I'm not sure exactly if that's happening, but it absolutely will happen when this fucking door-to-door thing is going on. Like I said earlier, the hypothetical of would you hide a Jew in your basement isn't going to be a hypothetical much longer if things go as they are going. The Gestapo did not need a warrant to read a suspect's mail, enter a home, or listen to telephone conversations. In that video, you can see them trying to break into Renee Good's car without a warrant. I have no reason to believe they wouldn't do the same thing for houses. Gestapo officers regularly used intimidation and psychological and physical torture. Intimidation, physicality. I will show you guys some videos right now that I've saved on TikTok of them just fucking pushing people for no reason as they pass by. No warrant, by the way, not one. Look at the shove, by the way. It is genuinely as though you are in fucking... Like, you know when you're Assassin's Creed and you walk past an NPC and you just barge them for no fucking reason? But it's okay because it's a video game. This isn't a fucking... He's just walking past people and shoving them. And if you want context, maybe they did something bad. It's like, no, this is the city council president who was just there to observe. And because he doesn't agree with them, that gives them the right to genuinely just physically assault him. And they don't get punished for it. And then they pass by this woman. and just shove them for no reason as well because they're recording. And then this is them interrogating some random on the street because they don't have their ID directly on them. You should be allowed to walk outside your neighborhood without having to carry your ID on you.
Okay, do you have some ID then, please?
I don't need
If not, we're gonna put you in the vehicle and we're gonna ID you.
Yep, you can't go home and get your ID. You can't go home and get your documents. If you don't have your shit on you right now, you're done. And these people must be fucking terrified because there is a history of them straight up just taking people over to detainment facilities in Sudan, for example, or Mexico, and a lot of them have died in detainment. No due process for so many of them. Look, obviously a fucking Holocaust is not happening, a genocide is not happening, but what is undeniably true is the mechanisms that allowed such escalation and genocide to occur is being recreated in front of us. The mechanism that allowed the Holocaust to take place is being recreated. The reason why Anne Frank had to go into hiding to begin with is being recreated. Gestapo agents had the power to determine people's fates. Individual agents could choose to be lenient, they could let people go, dismiss cases, or issue warnings and fines. This is exactly what was happening in the Renee Good video. The ICE agents, I almost said Gestapo there because it's interchangeable at this point, had completely the power to determine people's fates. I know the right don't like it when we call them Nazis, but at the very least, can we say that if they lived in Germany, they would have sided with the Nazis? Because they absolutely would have. Yeah, here we go as well. In the first 2 years of the Nazi regime, the Gestapo did not focus on policing Germany's Jewish population. At that time, the Gestapo's priority was policing political opponents, like Renee Good and her wife, maybe, who are on the left, who Trump and JD Vance constantly bash for being on the left. They point that out at every opportunity that they can. Because they're not just killing immigrants now, they're killing political opponents who aren't immigrants. Does anyone here know who Wade Plemons is? He's a sports commentator. He does a lot of work on the Misfits stuff, which is like the Misfits boxing stuff. If anyone's aware of that, they'll know who Wade is. This is just one of the influences that I want to talk about here. Okay, here we go. You got this fucking goober, Wade Plemons. This is going to require a bit more nuance than most people are providing, but here's what I think. All right, we're about to hear the nuance from Mr. Plemons over here. The lady got spooked by the agent grabbing her door and tried to drive off. The other agent, standing in front of her car, got hit and immediately fired her. What nuance is being provided there? You're just describing what happened in the video. And that's not a justifiable thing at all. And you're ignoring everything else that happened here. Let's have a look at some of the replies. Here we go. They ran up to the car, forcefully trying to enter the car without identifying themselves, and she backs up and tries to drive off and gets shot multiple times trying to drive away. What nuance? These are federal agents, and no matter what the situation is, elevating aggressive action with officers is a terrible idea. Also, hitting the guy in front of her caused him to fire. Although it maybe can be argued she was just trying to leave, she still hit him. Can it maybe be argued that she was just trying to leave? Or is it it's definite that she was just trying to leave. The steering wheel was all the way to the right. The wheel itself was all the way to the right. If anything, he was trying to get hit. We've gone over this, man. This is why I wanted to go over the footage first, so that when we go over these fucking idiots, these fascists, and these fucking Nazi defenders, you would understand how dumb what they're saying is. Nuanced situation, but I was taught to always comply with law enforcement to avoid things like this. Very easy thing to say from your privileged position. Speaking of privilege, by the way, I saw another tweet from this bloke that this is gonna go a little bit off topic, but breaking, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy says taxpayer dollars will no longer fund sugar and soda on SNAP. Which, anyone who knows what they're talking about knows that this is grim, and that Robert F. Kennedy is doing, once again, one of the worst fucking things possible. But you get a lot of people here going, I'm not the reason people are buying junk food with SNAP funds that I pay into. My tax dollars are going to SNAP funding, which means I'm paying for people to use SNAP to buy sugary drinks and food. If they want that stuff, they can pay their own money. This isn't an attack on poor people, it's an attack on government programs that absolutely suck and penalize me and others for being successful. So this is what happens when when someone who has never been in a position where they need to use this service or have been poor in any way, shape, or form, talk about poor people. It's completely uneducated. Let me find, there was one comment he made that really pissed me off. Junk food is half the price of healthy food, and why do you care what poor people buy with their food stamps? Absolutely, junk food is so much cheaper than healthy food. He says that he pays for it, fucking taxes, whatever. And then he says, it absolutely can be, and he breaks down how cheap food can be. 1 pound of ground beef, $7.99, chicken breast, $8.80, 12 pack of eggs, $2.99, whatever the fuck. I don't know how accurate this all is, but He says that altogether, $38 plus tax equals whatever the fuck, $230. Now, here's the thing. You can buy all these ingredients, fair enough. Now, how do you cook a chicken breast that is raw? You need a frying pan. How much is a frying pan? Rice is cheap, fair enough. How do you cook the rice? If you don't have a rice cooker, because rice cookers are pretty pricey, you need a pot. How much is a pot? And then how do you cook it? You need to turn the hob on and boil the water. How much is the gas bill? How much is the gas bill? Gas bills can get pretty fucking pricey. Ovens get really pricey. Boiling water costs a lot of money for people who don't have money. And also, cooking in general takes a lot of time for a lot of people. You know, you come back from your fucking 2 jobs that you work, because you have these food stamps, you have your 4 fucking children at home, you might not have the time to make these meals every day. You might not have the money to buy the equipment that can be used to make these meals every day. A microwavable meal, you pop in the microwave, it's done. An oven pizza, you pop in the oven, it's done. You don't need to do anything more. You don't need to spend time cooking it. It's half the price of whatever the fuck meals you'll be making out of this shit. It takes no time at all. And it takes no sort of extra amenities, and it doesn't take much out of your bills either. That's why it's easier and cheaper to eat like shit than eat healthy. That's why obesity rates are higher with poor people. How the fuck do you explain that? Again, it's just like, it's the words from someone who's privileged, who's never had to go through the struggles of the people that he's actually talking about. These people who think they're fucking just immune to being brainwashed, which I guess that's the whole point of a cult, is that you don't know that you're in one. But this MAGA shit it's a cult. It's like, that's the word that perfectly describes it. Also, we got some other influencers that I want to talk about. Here we go, the Elder Millennial. This fucking guy. You know who this is? Guys, Elder Millennial, just follow me. You know what to do. And you've got him there with a big fucking American flag in the back. I wonder where he leans politically. You guys know who he is? Have you guys seen this guy? Let's talk a little bit about the Elder Millennial. He's a great mouthpiece for the right. Really smart bloke, this. Old, experienced man. A woman was shot by an ICE agent. Let's look at the comments here. You'll see the comments are great, because the video would prove him. Oh, no, actually, the comments are actually going against him. What a spark of hope. She was a mother, and when her father was shot in front of his family and hundreds of others, they cheered. Name one politician, name one person who isn't a random leftist on Twitter who cheered the death of Charlie Kirk. No Democrat in power, no leftist who is actually in power, who has any sort of say politically, cheered or celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk. They all condemned it. However, when someone on the left is killed by a conservative, the right don't condemn it. You know, people, you don't need to go to random conservatives on Twitter to see them celebrating deaths of leftists. You go to people like Donald Trump who don't condemn it. Donald Trump who promote that shit, who celebrate that shit. J.D. Vance who says this was justified. No politician cheered Kirk's death. Every politician on the right is cheering Renee's death. Why is it not fucking playing? TikTok is ridiculous. There you go. I was thinking of their name. Thank you. Trump's response to Robin Michelle Rayner was to blame it on Trump derangement syndrome. This is why no leftist should ever condemn the murder of Charlie Kirk, if they're asked to. Until Donald Trump is able to condemn the killings of leftists by conservatives, the left should not condemn fuck all. If the right are fighting, we need to fight back. You can't just take the beating.
That's what happens when you try to run over a federal officer. I'm not gonna go through the video. I'm not gonna fucking discuss this bullshit at length.
I wonder why he won't go through the video. Maybe because it would show that she wasn't trying to run over a federal officer. Maybe. Like, I don't mean to make any assumptions here, but he has the fucking video.
Just yesterday, we were reminded by the liberals that it was okay that the officer shot Ashley Babbitt in the face. You know, because on January 6th, she was violating the law, so he was justified. When you try to run over a federal officer, you might, just might, get your ass shot. Let this be a lesson to the rest of you liberals. When ICE, federal law enforcement agency...
Let this be a right to you liberals. If you don't get on your knees and suck off the ICE members, you will die. Great lesson, that. Have you seen ICE members, by the way, going around telling people that they hope that like, have you not learned your lesson yet? Let me see if I can find a TikTok of that.
Shame on you.
Listen. Have y'all not learned from the past couple of days? Have you not learned?
Learned what? What's our lesson here? What do you want us to learn?
Following federal agents.
Give me my phone back.
Actual crime, by the way. You can't do that. She's completely allowed to record, and you've just stolen her fucking phone. Nice one, ICE. Threatening death on her, and then stealing her property. Gestapo! I'm telling you, it's they are the Gestapo.
You're welcome to watch. You're welcome to film. You're welcome to hang out and talk shit. But what you're not welcome to do is hop in your fucking car and try to run over federal agents. I'm not saying that you're definitely going to get shot if you do it, but I am saying that the odds, they sure as fuck ain't in your favor. So don't do it.
Anyway, as you can see, he's not played any fucking video there. He doesn't want to talk about the video. All of a sudden, though, when a different angle comes up where it looks a little bit worse, now he wants to talk about the video.
Harry, look, I didn't watch your video because I don't give a shit what you have to say about it.
How can you respond to someone without hearing what they have to say, though? Looking at evidence.
I wanted to show you this video to prove that, yeah, she tried to run him over.
Oh, hang about. I thought we didn't want to look at the videos. I thought you didn't want to do that. I thought, there's no point getting into it or whatever. So why all of a sudden, when you have this video that looks a little bit worse because it's from a different angle, all of a sudden now you want to talk about the videos? Also, that's not real. The video's sped up. Or maybe it's not sped up, actually. I'm not too sure. He technically got hit. Yeah, he got fucking tapped. So what are you saying? That justifies what he did? I think this is the video, because you can see the ice, you can see someone there who was holding on to the car, coming from, behind the car. And I do think that video is sped up, by the way. And it was shortened as well. Why not play the rest of the clip where the car moves and he's totally fine? I don't know about the authenticity of that clip, because it really does not look like that from any other angle. We are going to cross-reference this video with the actual footage. A lot of people are saying AI. Yeah, but a lot of people say that I'm AI. It's not verifiable by any means. Okay, here's what I'm seeing, yeah? If you look here, there is someone here. There is a human being stood there. You see that fucking person in a hood? Here, there's no one. Yeah, there's no one here. And there's no cars here either. So again, I'm not saying for sure, because I don't want to say anything that is proven to be false later, and I don't have any concrete evidence. Maybe there's something off the fucking, maybe there's something off the screen, or it's from a weird angle or something, but I'll point that out, and you guys can make your own conclusions. I don't know if it's AI. I have a feeling that it's just from a different video of someone being hit, and that they're claiming and that they're lying about what situation it is. Also, very interesting that the video cuts before the gunshots. It's such a short video. Probably because it's fake. Probably. But this guy has a history of doing no fucking research, so there's no way he looked into it.
Their car. And I just, maybe you're not aware of this, but when you try to hit a federal agent with, when you actually succeed in hitting a federal agent with your car, you're gonna get fucking shot. And she hit him with her car. Therefore, she got shot. So you're welcome to use all the videos with different angles and pretend like it didn't happen. You're welcome to pretend that she was just a soccer mom who just found herself in a bad situation. You're welcome to pretend whatever the fuck you want to pretend. At the end of the day, she intentionally tried to run over a federal agent. And as a result, she got shot in the face. She's gonna have a closed casket ceremony. And no, I don't feel bad about it at all. I'm not concerned. I don't feel it was overstepping. If you try to run over
it could be AI. It could be AI.
I have no problem with you getting shot.
Okay, so that's him right there saying that he supports the Gestapo and that he loves what Hitler was doing during the Nazi regime. Sorry, he loves ICE and he loves what Trump is doing right now. Sort of misspoke a bit there, but it's the exact same thing, so don't worry about it. Let me start this again so you can hear me.
Hey, just a little tidbit about the left's new hero. Yeah, she only has custody of one of her kids. And the reason she only has custody of one is that her domestic partner, a woman, she likes to beat the shit out of kids and put cigarettes out on their arm. And
interesting. I would love to see the evidence of that. Also, first and foremost, not fucking relevant. Even if that's true, not relevant. Has nothing to do with the murder. She wasn't killed because she abused a kid. She was killed because she called the ICE officer big boy.
She chose that woman.
Or Becca called the ICE officer big boy and Renee was killed. You know what I mean?
Over her kids. Yeah, the court was basically like, hold on, if you're gonna stay with her, you don't get to keep the kids. And she was like, yeah, that's fine. So when people were asking, why was this mother not at home taking care of her children? It's because her children were taken away from her. Because her partner likes to beat the shit out of them and use their fucking arms as ashtrays. It's amazing to me that
Why am I looking at your stupid fat fucking face whilst you say this and not any evidence for what you're saying? The origin of this rumor is a random tweet. Yes, it is. It is a random tweet. I know. I fucking know that because I actually do my research.
Hero of the left turns out to be an awful human being. Anybody that would take action and try to run over a federal agent, yeah, I could assume that they were an idiotic piece of shit. But I have to say that the level of choosing your partner over your children, of staying with someone who likes to beat the shit out of your kids, that's a new level.
This guy is a fascist propagandist, just like Charlie Kirk was, you know? A lot of people say, oh, is it okay to shoot someone in relation to Charlie Kirk when he was dying? Is it okay to shoot someone just for having an opinion? Which wasn't what was happening here. Because you can change the question. Is it okay to shoot someone for being a fascist Nazi propagandist who uses misinformation and false facts to prop up the Nazi regime and radicalize and brainwash people into joining said regime to allow mechanisms that made the Holocaust possible to prolifically continue? And then the question as to whether or not it's okay they got shot becomes a lot murkier, doesn't it? But no conservative would ever ask that because they know how bad it would sound. Got another TikTok from him. Oh, no, we got this one here. I think this is a fourth one. He's made more.
And now we have the body cam footage from the officer that was run over.
I'm not mad, boy. Show your face. I'm not mad. That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking right. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the car. Whoa!
Go ahead. Tell me she didn't try to run him over. Come on.
I think I can step in and help you out on that one. She didn't try to run him over. Look at him sitting there all sultry, thinking he really thinks he did something.
And videotaped her car. All while her girlfriend, who, by the way, I will remind you, likes to beat children and put cigarettes out on her arm. Yeah, all while she talks shit. So go ahead. Continue with your bullshit narrative.
Still continuing that fucking lie. He's never gonna learn. No, or maybe he will. The thing is, he probably knows it's bullshit. He probably knows it's bullshit. Just like Trump probably knew that he lost the election. Doesn't stop them from lying about it to prop up their regime. I think I know why the older millennial talks so much about this fucking woman's criminal record. But I am surprised that he fell for the fake shit because he seems to know a lot about criminal records.
Also, you were a Korean linguist. You were a humic dude, which I know quite a bit about because I went to DLI too.
But did you?
You know what's fun? There is actually a legal way to verify your claims about what you did in the military. Here, let me show you.
Here's what you get back when you request through the Freedom of Information Act somebody's service record that you don't have any connection with from the National Archives.
What was that you said?
A bit about because I went to DLI too.
No, you didn't, or it'd be right here underneath military education. I don't see DLI there, so did you tell the Army that you went? Because they don't think you did.
Let's jump over to LinkedIn real quick.
Because even though the Army doesn't think you went to DLI, that doesn't stop you from telling the entire fucking internet that you did anyway. What's that say there? A Joint Service Commendation?
Oh, whoops, sorry.
Achievement and a Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal? Man, I wish there was a way to verify you had all those. Oh, fun fact, we do. They would all be right here under your awards, but I don't see any of those there. That's weird. What else does your LinkedIn say? Does that say senior NCO? Did you tell the Army that they needed to update what a senior NCO was? Because you were only an E6 and they don't think that's a senior NCO. I don't know. I'm just asking questions. What's that thing you all say all the time?
Stolen valor.
Can somebody remind me what the definition of stolen valor is again, please? Stolen valor is the act of falsely claiming to be a military service member or a veteran or to have received military awards or medals. The term is used to describe people who lie about their military service or rank or who impersonate someone else. People who commit stolen valor do so to gain money, property, or other benefits by deceiving others. Would saying that you had a joint commendation, a joint achievement medal, a Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, that you were a senior NCO, and that you went to DLI when you actually didn't be a form of deceiving people for monetary gain on LinkedIn? LinkedIn? I don't know. I'm just asking questions. But maybe when you said this?
Let me see my DD-214. You want me to provide people who hate me my personal information. Are you high?
Maybe you were just scared that the truth would come out. I don't know. Again, I'm just asking questions. But if lying about your military awards for monetary gain isn't enough for you, then...
I didn't wash my hands. If you're upset about that, I don't care.
But yeah, in terms of committing crimes, he's done it publicly. There is body cam footage of this bloke, the older millennial, being arrested and literally pissing himself. I don't know if I can show the video of him pissing himself, but there's a video of it, and if you look for it, you'll find it. I'll see if I can find his actual criminal record. I should have prepared this before the stream, really. Here's what an actual criminal record looks like. Here's what an actual mugshot looks like. Here we go. Here's what a not photoshopped, not fake record looks like. Got the location, the reporting agency. You got the date here. It's all actually correct. You've got the age, which is correct. There you go. Big up to this bloke, by the way. I'm not gonna play the video, but yeah, you get the idea.
He should have just complied.
I'm sorry, I'm peeing. I'm peeing. I can't stop peeing. I'm so sorry, I'm winning myself.
How'd they comply and work for it?
To be fair, he was complying, but he was also pissing himself. I don't know, man. It's like, I wouldn't be so stringent about taking the piss out of fake arrest records and making shit up about people that you don't like when you have those skeletons in your closet. It doesn't surprise me. Like, whenever people like this talk, you'd be better off assuming that everything that comes out of their mouth is a lie. It's like, who's that fucking bloke we talked about during the Latino thing? Anime Ribbon, that's it. Anime Ribbon just lies about everything. I remember when the whole angel tree thing blew up, they started talking about how like, oh, I do angel trees all the time. And it's like, no, you fucking don't. You're lying. You're a liar. The whole point of ICE, or the whole point of the fucking immigration system in America, is to encourage captive labor markets. Like, that's why the process takes years, like I said earlier. It's almost always legal gray areas. Like, the whole point of allowing immigrants in to work on the farms for cheap labor and asylum seeking, for example, is because they need to be in the country to complete the legal process. So asylum seekers cannot apply for asylum until they are in America. That's why they're undocumented, because they cannot document themselves. That's the method that the government is using. And they point to those gray areas to label the entire diaspora as illegal because they're not allowing it to happen. Like, they are inviting these people in, they're using them for cheap labor, and then they just fuck them off to Sudan or detain them in centers where they fucking die, completely at their hands. I want to show you one last thing about the older millennial and his lack of research.
Downstairs neighbor is trying to evict me.
I bet you can't guess why. I bet money you cannot guess why her downstairs neighbor is trying to evict her. Actually, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to give you a second to pause this video, and I want you to go in the comment section. I want you to put the reason you think her downstairs neighbor is trying to evict her. Okay, you ready? I'm going to give you a second to pause it. Okay, good. She's shitting and pissing in the yard.
Now, let's actually have a look at that original video.
Because I genuinely thought it was like really obvious I was fucking around. I don't go to the bathroom outside. I just, honest to God, thought it was really funny because I looked outside and my neighbor was squatting weird. And it reminded me of my neighbor in Vietnam who used to shit outside. I lived there for 3 years. I used to see a lot of old men shitting on the streets. Not homeless men either, okay? So I'm like, that'd be so fucking funny if you have a new 2-flat neighbor where you share a house and a yard and they come up to you the first day they move in and they're like, just listen, like I have, they have trauma, so it's kind of hard to like rebut.
There you go. Now you get the idea. The very next fucking video on her account is her saying, oh, it's a joke. Don't worry about it. I was taking the piss. But the older millennial decided to completely skip that fucking video and talk about how disgusting it was and how the left are evil and how the right are these fucking gods with the best morals. Dumbass. Either he completely ignored it and just lied, or does no research whatsoever. I'm sure you guys, especially if you have been here for a while and know about my my past controversy-wise, I don't like when people spread completely unsubstantiated, unresearched claims on the internet with no evidence. Because people on the internet are gullible and naive enough to take it at face value. You don't need evidence to ruin someone's fucking career or life online. So people like the dad, what's his name, the older millennial, are genuinely dangerous. Not to mention the racism, the transphobia, the misogyny, the Nazism and the fascism radiating from his fucking pores. No shit, he's dangerous. Anyone who supports ICE is dangerous because they're supporting a fascist regime that is allowing the mechanisms that made the genocide possible to happen. I mean the Holocaust, the genocide, by the way. I know I said that a Holocaust wasn't happening, like with what Ray said. There are Holocaust experts that have confirmed that the first steps towards a genocide against trans people are, in fact, showing their wings, so to speak. Doesn't mean a genocide is happening currently, on American soil, but like the mechanism that makes them possible is definitely about. All of these things, the fucking Gestapo, ICE, going for targeting people for who they are instead of what they've done, based on immigration status, registration status. It's all part of these fucking modern civil enforcement regimes that can be directly compared to the Gestapo. I feel like that's step one. And then you go into the fucking administrative enforcement replacing criminal process. So no jury, which isn't happening because these people are being deported without due process. You get no criminal convictions. You get lower thresholds for evidence, which is absolutely happening here. The courts are being denied evidence. They're being granted absolute immunity. Civil justice for coercive power justified. No, not justified, but tragic nonetheless. It's the exact language that was being used. Violence is now legally deniable and not illegal. And then the knock begins, which is the next step. I'm not sure if they're already knocking, but I know they're about to, for sure. This is the infection, right? Because now you don't even have privacy in your own home. The home is no longer safe. Compliance is personal and fear is ambient. This is why Anne Frank hid to begin with, by the way. She was hiding before the extermination policy. She wasn't hiding because of the Holocaust. She was hiding because of the knock. When the knock begins, America's gonna have a couple of fucking Anne Franks knocking about. And by a couple, I mean thousands, potentially. Because then people are forced to decide, like, shit, do I answer? Do I inform? Do I comply? Do I hide someone? If I hide someone, am I risking my own life? Am I risking their life? If I don't hide them and they die, am I responsible for it? This is gonna fuck so many people up, man. It's not getting better. It's not getting better. And we're only 1 year in. We are 1 year in to Trump's presidency. How long until, and this behavior is already justified and normal to half the fucking country. And the risk is that it only becomes more normal and not less. Because the right has a lot of grifters. It's very easy to right-wing grift. I could right-wing grift myself as like a token black into a room, best friends with JD Vance by the end of the year. It's so easy. It's the easiest fucking thing in the world. And they would love me. If I right-wing grifted, they would love me. Because I'm like, oh my god, a black guy likes us. And we're not racist. Look, they'd use me as like as reason as to why they're not racist or some dumb shit. I don't fucking know. That's what they do with all the people of color that right-wing grift. Genocide does not start with concentration camps. It starts when the state decides that the home is no longer private and the public, are forced into compliance under the threat of fucking murder, like Renee Good was. They were trying to force her into compliance using murder as the punishment because she called them big boy. Let's not forget that shit. It's all because she called them big boy. If that comparison makes you uncomfortable, whether you're left or right, it's because it should make you uncomfortable. No one should be comfortable in America right now, man. No one. Not when half the country side with Nazis. Why should anyone be comfortable in a place like that? What's the Second Amendment for? What's going to happen during the World Cup when the country is full of foreigners? I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this. I've gone through my doc. It's fucking 3 a.m. right now. I'm a little bit tired. I don't know if I made a fool of myself a bit on stream. I know I'm acting hot-headed, so I don't know if this stream will stay up, but it might do. Because I do believe talking about these things is important, and that educated people do need to talk about these things, like I said earlier, because if you don't, the only people who do talk about these things are the fucking evil Nazi ones.